What's up? This is Josh and Kelsey. We're here at SNHU Arena watching the Manchester Monarchs take on the Cincinnati Cyclones. You're watching Post to Post.
Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. Welcome to our first series preview video. We do these every single year, and the playoffs are literally days away. I'm mega pumped. I'm jazzed about these playoffs. Ooh. And the first series that we're going to do is the Tampa Bay Columbus series. We're going to offer some analysis. We are idiots in a basement making videos on YouTube. We are not experts. We're very far from it. We're just having some fun. So I encourage you to have your own analysis down in the comments, or maybe make a video of your own or something like that, and just have some fun. That's what being a hockey fan is all about, right? There's no right or wrong. We're all critical of different things. So let's just keep that in mind as we go forward. And offer the best analysis that we can. So
sounds good.
I just want to go over a couple of stats between the teams first, and then we'll get into some opinion stuff, and then a prediction at the end. And if you've already seen our bracket prediction video, then you already know who we've predicted. But the records, Tampa Bay 62-16-4. That's the most impressive record by a team since the 90s, I believe. So this is a team that's not only a powerhouse, it is the best team in the past 30 years or so, really.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less, 25 or whatever, but I mean, this is a team that you don't see every year. This is a team that you can't underestimate. They have such a status in the NHL this year that a record like that, you're not going to see. You're likely in today's NHL not going to see a record like that maybe for another 10, 20 years. That's how good this team is. So
every so often the planets will align because all the teams have the same salary base, roughly. They spend between $60 and $80 million or whatever it is. Tampa Bay is spending roughly the same amount of money as everybody else, yet they've got the planets to line up to put the kind of talent and the chemistry in their dressing room, the depth that this team has. I suspect that they're black aces. The players that don't make the team, that just help the real players practice, are probably good enough to win a lot of games in the NHL.
They probably are. Yeah, you're right.
It's incredible, the depth and the reserves that they can draw on if things go in the injury side. They're not weak anywhere.
No, they're not. They're really not.
Yeah.
If you look at Columbus's record, though, they're 47-31-4. Still not a bad record. Still a pretty good record, but obviously Tampa Bay has the advantage there. If you look at goals for, Tampa Bay 319, which is ridiculous, versus 258 by Columbus, so Tampa Bay has the advantage there.
But even in head-to-head, if you look at the head-to-head goals, Tampa Bay beat Columbus 3 times this year by scores of 8-2, 4-0, 5-1.
Yeah. They've
outscored Columbus by 14 goals in those 3 games.
They've outscored everyone.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. It's
crazy.
Goals against, 221 for Tampa, 232 for Columbus, so a
lot more even there.
A little bit even there, but still, Tampa Bay has the advantage again.
Yeah.
Power play, 28.2% versus 15.4%. It's not even close.
Basically double.
They're in a different realm of reality when it comes to power play. So Tampa Bay clearly has the advantage there. Penalty kill, 85% for Tampa, 85% for Columbus. So actually no one has the advantage there. They're both the same.
Yeah.
These are obviously seasonal statistics. Things will change in the playoffs. Face-off percentage, 51.2 for Tampa, 50.2 for Columbus. So Tampa has the advantage there. So in basically every major statistical category, Tampa Bay has the advantage. So this is Columbus's biggest challenge that they've ever faced as a franchise.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a fair statement?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Columbus has gone into the playoffs a few times before and not come out of the first round, and their day was going to come. Someday it may come, but it's not this year.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Oh, snap.
I don't think so. We're getting to prediction time here.
I just have a few notes down here about each team, and I just want to go through them. You can feel free to comment after everyone if you'd like.
Sure.
You don't have to after everyone. Tampa Bay needs to be absolutely relentless and overwhelm Bobrovsky. As good as Tampa Bay is, Bobrovsky has the potential to win a series, regardless of any team. Bobrovsky is one of those goalies that is he's so positionally good. And when he's not positionally good, when he gets in these a little bit of off games, his acrobatics and his movement ability is incredible. It's like he can see the puck behind himself sometimes. Like there's been scrambles in front of the net where he just reaches around with an arm and hits it, and he doesn't even know it's there. Like he's incredible. One of the best goalies in the NHL. Consistency is a bit of an issue for Bobrovsky, so we'll see. But Tampa Bay needs to overwhelm him. They need to tire him out. They need to physically exhaust Bobrovsky, and Tampa Bay can do that. They need to be in his face. They need to screen him. They need to take him off his game because Columbus isn't winning the series if Bobrovsky doesn't play.
He needs
elite.
to be perfect. He basically has to be perfect.
He needs to be perfect. So Tampa Bay really needs to focus on getting inside the head of Bobrovsky and physically tiring him out.
And even if he is as perfect as Jonathan Quick was last year,
sometimes it's just not good enough.
Sometimes it's just not
crazy.
good enough. And I think this is one of those series.
Yeah. Tampa, as relentless as Tampa Bay needs to be, they need to be aware of back checking as well. I wouldn't say that Tampa Bay has any weakness, but sometimes they do get caught a lot on 2-on-1s and 4-on-2s, and they give up some breakaways and stuff. So I think they need to be a little bit mindful of their back checking, specifically their superstars like Kucherov and Stamkos. Sometimes these players, they put so much physical energy into playing well and controlling the puck and cycling the puck that they don't expel the same amount of energy to back check defensively. Not all of them, but some, and not all the time either. So it's just they need to be mindful of that, I think, and not let Columbus be opportunistic. Tampa needs to capitalize on power plays. They have the best power play in the NHL. They need to keep that percentage up there as high or as in the same realm as it was in the regular season. As good as Bobrovsky is, sometimes a good goalie just can't stop a good power play. And Tampa Bay has the best power play. So Columbus needs to keep their eye on Tampa's power play. Tampa players can't lose focus with antics. You see this all the time where an underdog will play the matchup game against superstars, and superstars get really, really frustrated, and sometimes they take liberties on these lesser skilled players that are shadowing them, and they draw penalties, and sometimes series are lost because of this. We saw this in 2010. Montreal did this to Washington, and Montreal did this to Pittsburgh. And it was one of the main reasons that Montreal won those two series because they shut down Crosby and Malkin and Ovechkin and Backstrom, and because they got frustrated and they started taking penalties and put their team down. And so Tampa Bay needs to be mindful of this and they need to be a little bit patient. If Stamkos probably isn't used to being shadowed as much as he's going to be shadowed in these playoffs, so he needs just to relax a little bit. And I don't think that he's going to take any liberties or anything like that. They just need to be mindful of that. Yanni Gourde needs to stay out of the box. Every Tampa game that I've watched, he's taken just some silly penalties. Who was he? I think it was Paquette. Maybe he took some stupid penalties as well. So there can't be that style of penalties. You can't take a tripping penalty in the offensive zone. You need to be disciplined. If I'm going to pick a player from Tampa to be the difference maker in the series, it's going to be Braden Point for me. I really believe that you have Hedman and Kucherov and Stamkos and all these other superstars on the team. And if Point was on another team, he'd likely be the superstar. If Point was on Montreal, he would be the best player in the team. Yeah. And on Tampa Bay, he's 5th, 6th. It's incredible. So I really think that Point is one of the most underrated players in the NHL, and I think that he will be the difference maker in this series. Tampa can't get too cocky. They can't hold back. When they get the lead, they need to keep piling it on. Don't protect the lead. That's why Tampa is as good as they are this season, because they generally don't protect the lead. They just keep going and going and going because they have the offensive power to do it. Mm-hmm. They can't try and protect the lead.
No, I agree.
That's basically all I have to say for Tampa. Would you like to add anything on Tampa?
The only thing I'd worry about, I think, is some of the hotter players going cold. We saw that happen last year in the playoffs. We saw Stamkos, I think, in the last 3 or 4 games. He really just lost his fire or lost his ability to be the player that Tampa needs him to be. Now, luckily for them, they've got all kinds of other players. But all of their best players have to remain their best players. They can't take a night off. They can't take a back seat. They just have to keep crushing it forward. And I don't know what their motivation is going to be in the dressing room, but these early couple of series that they're probably expected to win handily, sometimes it takes a little bit of moxie to get worked up for those series.
Yeah, seriously.
And you've got to motivate them somehow. I'm sure Cooper's good at it. He's probably going to get the Jack Adams for what he's been able to do with this team. But whether it's a picture of the Stanley Cup or a replica or whatever, they have to just focus on that one goal and push through everything else to get to it. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they have the presence of mind and the singularity of focus to look at that. Now, it's got to be one a game at a time. It's got to be one a period at a time. Tampa Bay, you talked about their face-off slight lead and face-off percentage. because they're the home team, they get 4 games to 3. If it did go longer than a few games past the minimum, Tampa Bay's going to have home ice advantage. They're going to have last line change. They're going to be able to get the face-off matchups they want. So that will even increase still further, I think, their ability to be dominant in the face-off dot.
Yep,
So,
I agree.
Yep.
Well said. Quick question for you, a little off topic. If the Islanders go to the conference finals and play Tampa Bay, and the Tampa Bay makes it to the conference finals as well, for whatever reason, the Islanders beat Tampa and go on to win the Stanley Cup, do you think John Cooper still gets the Jack Adams, or do you think that Barry Trotz gets the Adams?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the voting for these various trophies happens prior to the end of the playoffs.
Oh, I mean, you could be right.
And I think it's supposed to be mostly based on the regular season. However, if I were a sports journalist and had a vote, and I was thinking of voting for John Cooper, and Barry Trotz's team just took him out, I'd find a way to get my vote changed, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
On the Columbus side of things, Columbus needs to protect Bobrovsky. They need to clear the net. They can't let Tampa Bay crash the net and get in Bobrovsky's face and try and get him off his game. They need to protect Bobrovsky. They need to block shots as well. Tampa Bay's going to take an enormous amount of shots at Bobrovsky. Columbus really needs to play that defensive style of hockey and sacrifice the body and block the shots. It's going to be it has to be a huge part of their game for this if they want to win this series. Dubinsky needs to be better defensively. He's made some costly mistakes in every single Columbus game that I've watched, especially in their own defensive end. His plus-minus is not very good, so he really needs to be conscious of his game defensively and try and elevate it a little bit. Columbus can't outskill Tampa. They have to play the match and shutdown game. It's the only way they're going to win the series. You can't outskill Tampa. You can't play skill versus skill. You need to play the matchup game. You need to play the shutdown game. You need to have Stamkos shadowed. You need to have Kucherov shadowed. You need to have Braden Point shadowed. You need to have freaking Yanni Gord shadowed. That's how good this team is. They have to play the matchup game, and they have to stick to the system. I really think Boone Jenner should be pretty effective at one of these roles. I'm not sure who he should be shadowing, but you should expect him to be like glue on one of these players. Hopefully. Matt Duchene needs to be elite. He needs to leave the drama behind, and all the drama in Colorado, all the drama in Ottawa, all the trade drama and the picks and everything is just, he has to let it all go. He has to just literally just play hockey, and he needs to be elite because he hasn't been elite since he's come to Columbus. He's actually played better as an Ottawa Senator than he has a Columbus Blue Jacket. Now, some of that has to do with chemistry, but some of it doesn't, and it can't continue. He has to be elite. He has to be the best Matt Duchene that Matt Duchene has ever been. Otherwise, Columbus isn't winning this series. Tortorella needs to stay calm. Yelling to the moon doesn't do anything for the players. Like, regardless if he's yelling at the players or yelling at the other team or yelling at the sandwich guy in between periods in the cart, like, him yelling all the time, it doesn't do anything for the players. Maybe that's just a personal preference. If I was a player and the coach was yelling like a lunatic all the time, it would do nothing for me. It would do the opposite. It would piss me off. I'd want to leave the team at the end of the season because that's not the style of coaching that I liked when I played hockey. So he just needs to be calm and just try and be relaxed. Columbus needs to play into the underdog role. I don't think there's ever been an underdog more than Columbus right now, more so to Tampa Bay's success. But I think they need to play into this role. They need to realize that we have the opportunity to take down the biggest threat in the league in the past 25 years. What if we could do that? How would people look at us if we could do that? We could be that team that has takes that status away from Tampa Bay. So I think they need to play into this role a little bit emotionally. I think that'll help them. And this is Columbus's Stanley Cup final. There's no greater opponent that they'll face. Even if they beat Tampa Bay, I don't think there's any other challenge that will be greater than Tampa Bay. This is their Stanley Cup final. They have to win this series. If they win this series, how scared are you of Columbus?
I'm petrified.
Exactly.
I'm petrified. Especially if they win it the only way they can win it, which is the shutdown game, which is taking advantage of probably career ever years for some of their better players.
Yep.
And if they stay on that roll through the playoffs, they'll be very formidable.
Yep, definitely.
Indeed.
What's your prediction as far as games? Did you release that information?
Well, I mentioned it in our main video, but I have a prediction for games. Okay. And I think it's Tampa Bay winning the series 4-1 based on the talent as I see it on the ice. I'm hoping the series doesn't go that quickly, but I think it will. I think Columbus is facing just a massive monster. It's a David and Goliath thing, and there is an underdog factor. I think that's good enough for Columbus, maybe even to win one of the first 2 games. I think, like some hockey players, they don't really start playing until they get a big hit, until someone hits them hard, and then it wakes them up, and then they're fantastic for the rest of the game. I think Tampa Bay might be like that. I think Columbus has a chance to stun them in one of the first 2 games, maybe game 2, and then Columbus will go back home now with home ice advantage, but Tampa Bay will be screeching mad, and they will just crush it after that.
Wow.
I think that's kind of the way it'll go. I think the game Columbus wins might be the surprise game early on.
I agree, actually, as well. I have Tampa Bay winning in 5. I really thought about changing that to 6, but I think 5 is the more reasonable guess here. I think Tampa's just a little bit too good. That doesn't mean that I would be surprised if Columbus won this series. We see it all the time where the top team in the East or the West or the entire league gets taken down by a lower team. Nashville did that to Chicago 2 years ago.
That's right.
A
sweep.
We see it more often than we see, than people think. Like it happens all the time. So it really wouldn't surprise me, although I don't think it's going to happen. And that's no offense to Columbus. It's more of a compliment to Tampa Bay.
No. And of the 2 teams, if I were to cheer for one, my heart, I think, would be with Columbus for a lot of reasons.
I agree. I'm also cheering for Columbus in this series. I'm hoping that they actually beat Tampa Bay. I always usually cheer for the underdog story. So.
And I was watching the last couple of games Columbus played in the regular season, one against Montreal, of course, and in their push to be in the playoffs. And I hadn't seen Artemi Panarin play a whole lot, didn't really pay much attention. But my goodness, he's a special player.
Oh, yeah.
He's unbelievable in what he can do. And if he decides he wants to play for Columbus, just at least for the rest of this year, if not for longer, there's no telling what can happen. Know what I mean?
Yeah,
and he's also increasing his signing value as a free agent if he really steps
totally.
up. If he takes it as a selfish move, that's fine. It helps the team anyway. But
Columbus needs to ignore the drama, not just Duchesne, but Panarin needs to ignore it. Bobrovsky needs to ignore the contract.
And I think they
stuff.
have. I think in the last few weeks, I think they really
so too.
have. And I agree with you. The chemistry's not there yet. They haven't really come together as a team. And there's another team or 2 I want to mention that about later in our other predictions. But Columbus doesn't quite have that cohesiveness yet that some other teams already have from facing adversity as a group from the beginning.
I agree.
Columbus has added so many new pieces just a month and a half ago that it takes time for these pieces to fit together. And that could happen during a tough playoff series. And if they do somehow find a way to win this series against Tampa Bay, they will be an awesomely formidable team.
Yes, they will.
Because they will have come together. The baptism by fire will meld these guys into a fantastic unit of hockey players.
It's going to be intense. It's going to be an intense series. So thanks, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you can hit the subscribe button down below and catch our future videos, and maybe go check out our past videos if you haven't seen those yet. Maybe you're new. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you're watching getting ready to watch lots of hockey, and enjoy the playoffs. Adios.